Hey everybody, this is Bryan McDonald from OnPurpose Growth, and thanks for joining us for this podcast on Seize Your Business. Today we have Tony Reyes from Walton Contractors, and I'll let him to kind of describe what's under that umbrella, because what we're going to talk about is how you can get your business on the Inc. 5000. And not only what Tony's going to explain is how to get it on the Inc. 5000, he's going to explain how to get it up to a high number, just like he has as 197. So there are only 190 other 6 businesses in this country that are on that list that are growing as fast as Tony, and I'll let him give a quick introduction. We'll dive right in.
Bryan, thanks for having me here.
Thanks, Tony.
As Bryan mentioned, I'm the managing partner of Walton Contractors. We're a value-added construction company, and I'll explain a little bit more of what that means, but I just want to apologize in advance for any listeners who I'm a little rough around the edges, so I'll ask for your forgiveness up front, but I'm happy to be here.
Thanks for coming out, man. I'm excited to have you here because your story is phenomenal. Everything that you got to share, we could probably do this for a couple hours, and we're going to try to keep this to just about 30 minutes, if you will. So, I mean, tell us your story. What got you from your past experiences to 197 on the Inc. 5000?
Oh man, I'll be brief. So I guess I'll start right at the beginning. So I was born and raised in Oak Park, all right, which is just right outside the city limits. My family, going to high school there at OPRF. You know, my parents owned a small business. They did exterior construction, and I always wanted to be an architect because I grew up around construction. I saw my dad do different kinds of projects that really intrigued me, and I realized that I wanted to build stuff, you know, on a cool level. And as I graduated at the end of my junior year, you know, I did pretty well in high school. I realized, I got accepted into a private college downtown for studying architecture, and my parents made just enough money to not qualify for financial aid, but not enough money to actually put me through this $37,000 a year school. So I was like, that's a bummer. But I always wanted to be in the Marine Corps. I always wanted to serve my country, and I decided to enlist into the Marine Corps so that I can use the GI benefits of getting my school paid for when I got out. So I joined the Marine Corps. 4 years turned into 8 years. And all the while, my first mentor, good old Uncle Rick, was sending me all kinds of real estate books, you know, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, E-Myth, you know, Og Mandino's The Great Salesman of the World. I mean, just really just injecting this entrepreneurial spirit in me. And I kind of started discovering that I had some potential. And so instead of enlisting for my third term, which would have put me at 12 years, and most people who join in 12 years, they stay in for 20, I decided to get out and pursue, you know, my desires of, you know, doing some kind of development and building. So I got out of the Marine Corps after 8 years, married with a child on the way, and no college degree. So I joined a family member of mine who has started a construction sales business, and I did surprisingly well. You know, I did very, very well, and I think it was just the foundation of all that knowledge that I had picked up, and just really applying the things that I had learned that, you know, like business savvy, you know, dealing, you know, how to meet friends, win friends, and influence people. Well, that's not really applicable in the Marine Corps, right?
No, not at all. You're doing the opposite, right?
Exactly, dude. You're not winning friends, and you're not influencing people in the right way.
No.
So to make a long story short, I got out and I made 6 figures in my first year, which is pretty awesome. And because of everything that I had learned, I wanted to parlay my money into a different business venture. So at the time, it was right after the recession, really. You know, that, you know, things were, you know, still pretty bad. There was no consumer confidence. And in my family, my mother-in-law had a cleaning business. And all these women would come like day after day saying, hey, please give me a job. I don't have any work. They fired me. So I saw an opportunity in the marketplace because there was it was a workforce of people who didn't have work, right?
Yeah, right.
So I said, wow, like what if I can create a business based on this demand for jobs in the cleaning services. So in there was born my first organic, green cleaning company, if you will.
Okay.
Which we launched on Groupon.
Oh wow!
In a very ambitious way. That was quite the learning experience. It was my first business, and we sold $97,000 worth of business in like 48 hours, you know?
What?
My wife and I were at my brother's wedding in Florida. We're taking phone calls in the hotel room. We didn't have any employees. We didn't have any like business at that point, and we just started getting this influx of different business. And, you know, I made all the every decision, textbook that you can make wrong as a business owner, I made all those in the first business, And just as fast as I went up, I came down,
Right.
So I picked up the pieces, we dissolved that corporation, and we were just trying to figure out how do we make this work again, and we did. We built the right systems in place. We became very profitable. We were cleaning homes like in Burridge, Hinsdale, like Naperville, those kinds of neighborhoods, more affluent. And what we did is we just took the opportunity was there. We dressed it up in a very clean way, offering things that consumers wanted, which was organic cleaning. They wanted to deal with a company. They wanted a paperless company. All our cars were Priuses. We had recyclable material. So everything that was kind of like appropriate for what the demographic that we were trying to reach is what we were trying to do. So then from there we got a loan to open a commercial cleaning franchise, and we were servicing like bigger jobs. And then finally I had the opportunity to build a bridge to what I wanted to do personally, which is build homes, real estate, construction. And as I got my foot in the door, we built what we now call Walton Contractors, right, which is my company that was featured on Inc. 500. And it was really it was my heart's desire to be involved in real estate development. I had bought a few buy and hold real estates. I was trying to get involved in what they call flipping, if you will.
Yep.
And I just wanted to do that because it was pulling on my heartstrings of creating adaptive reuse, doing something that was in purpose for what it is and making it more reusable, making it open concept, kind of like the look and the feel and the relationships. That was all what I really wanted to be involved in. So we started up Walton Contractors, and we sold the other two cleaning companies, both the commercial and the private one. And we started about 3.5 years ago. It's going to be 4 years come January that we're at Walton Contractors.
Man. That's
Thanks. Great. So Walton Contractors right now focuses on value-add construction. And what I mean by that is that we really work in the bubble of real estate. What's real estate? So you wouldn't call me to fix your bathroom or redo your basement.
Okay.
Primarily, we work with medium-sized developers who do what we call adaptive reuse. Like, for example, we just finished a 68-unit adaptive reuse property in downtown Chicago on Michigan Avenue.
Wow.
And what they took is this old Studebaker building that used to sell cars, the old Studebaker cars.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah.
Remember those?
And they made it into apartments. And we did 64 units in Pilsen. Again, properties that only had like 6 units, they turned it into 12, right? So it's really creative, really finding ways to, turn that real estate, the same square footage, yet add more rental, which obviously you and I both know directly impacts the value of that property, right?
Yep.
So that's more on a commercial level. On a more residential level, we do a lot of new construction. We build brand new homes. We do additions. Again, in that area, we work with hard money lenders, boutique investors, people who do 1 or 2 a year. Some of them do 80 a year, doing flips for them and helping them be a sounding board for their real estate projects. And so we're pretty well diversified within construction.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
And then we also do storm restoration. We work with insurance agents who do, we help them with their clients' flood damage whenever it floods. We work with public adjusters and insurance companies. We work with general construction doing church work and stuff like that, which is really strategic. We wanted to figure out a way to diversify ourselves to the real estate ups and downs as well as storm-related stuff. So in a nutshell, that's what my company does.
So it sounds like you're very unique inside the real estate space. Was that a different approach than you took to the cleaning business, like based on things that you learned, where you wanted to look a certain way? Or help me understand, because it sounds like you got rid of those cleaning businesses for a reason and became something different.
Correct.
So help me understand that process.
That's a great question, man. And the biggest, I guess the quickest answer is that I didn't have what you call a moat around my business. And the moat, a moat is in the medieval term, they would build a castle and they would figure out a way for them to control ways that they were being attacked. So, on a mountain or maybe around a river. And what would happen was I had one time an employee steal like 12 homes from me, right? So it was, steal the contracts, if you will,
So she started, or he or she just started
She offered
cleaning
her services to my client. She's like, hey, I'll clean it for a fraction of the price.
Okay.
So she essentially stole our contracts, right? Which is a conflict of interest. That happened one time, and then it happened another time, not 12 homes, but, because at one point we had like 109 homes that we were servicing on a monthly basis. And we had someone else steal like 3 homes. And I realized that, wow, like, this is going to be a tension, like meaning it's a problem because I will never be able to solve it really,
Yeah, right.
And I figured I need to figure out a way to be in business where I can build a moat, where I can prevent my employees or even subcontractors from taking from me. So I had to kind of, I don't want to say put myself on a platform, but I had to figure out a way to, have a competitive advantage that my employees and or subcontractors or even actual competition wouldn't have. And I felt that with construction in general, like doing new construction or even doing commercial development, I had that because in my foundation, I was a real estate investor. I loved real estate. I understood it. I could speak the language, if you will. And I knew that's something that was going to be very, very difficult for them to duplicate, to not just steal internally, but also steal from my competition. A lot of my competition, they don't know the ins and outs of real estate finance, if you will. They might know how to do construction well. So if I can deliver that value to my clients and say, hey, you know what, I'm not just a general contractor for you. I could be a sounding board in dealing with your banker, in dealing with your investors and doing the walkthroughs and kind of making sure that I'm adding a different kind of value to them. I knew that I would be able to retain clients. So cleaning is, that's why I transitioned, the main reason why I transitioned out of cleaning. But yes, a lot of the lessons that I learned there was very important. Like branding is very important in cleaning. Like big time important. I know a lot of contractors don't do a lot of branding. They don't do a lot of marketing. And for me, that gives me a competitive edge because I think that marketing is essential to any business. That's why McDonald's, as big as it is still branding. They're still putting billboards out, and they're still on buses. They're staying in your mind. So we try to do that through different outlets, mainly right now social media, which I think we'll talk about in a little bit. But also through direct mail, through billboards that we have, through different networking events. We figure out a way to keep those relationships, kind of like we did in the cleaning company on the construction side.
So it sounds like, based on your example, between the way it was in the cleaning business and now too, that there was something you've done in the culture that has helped your business grow, right? And not disappear. Right? Talk about that for a
minute. That's a good question too, because one of the hardest things that I had with the cleaning company is that most of these, most of our clients were women, obviously, right? They didn't want to deal with a man, like, well, what is he know? I hate to sound sexist, but they didn't. They were probably thinking in their head, like, what does this guy know about cleaning? Right. They wanted to deal with a female counterpart or a colleague of mine, which was unfortunate, but it was very evident. I mean, it wasn't one time; it was many, many times. I felt like that there was like a. They were uncomfortable, with me representing cleaning, or even, I don't know what it was, but I could feel that it was there. So that meant that I can directly impact my client's the relationship with my client. So I had to rely on different colleagues that I had that work with me that would be responsible for the relationship, which I felt they probably didn't have the same attention to detail that I would have had,
Yeah, right.
And with construction, it's the opposite. Primarily because I can be that touch point with the customer. I can be there. I can do the walkthrough with them. I can deal with their, because whenever you're talking about bigger construction, there's many relationships that you have to manage. Both on the banking side, investors, just hands down contract clients or customers, as well as subcontractors and employees. As many. So with that, I believe that one of the biggest things that has helped Walton be so successful in such a short amount of time is that I believe that I am the company and the company is me. I think that those two are synonymous, especially when you're a company like mine. You're a startup. You're not huge. You're not this humongous company. I think that my employees and my contractors are never going to do more than I'm willing to do. So it's up to me to set the bar high and set the example. I need to be the first guy on the job sometimes. I need to be there. Sometimes I get my hands dirty when it's cold. Like the other day, I started unloading stuff with them to show them that, hey, I'm in the trenches with you.
Right.
And you kind of gain not just their respect. I think that respect is just given just because you're being an employer, but you get their loyalty, and loyalty is a part of the culture that I'm not willing to sacrifice. I need my people. The biggest asset that I have in my company is my team. So I need to know that they're for me even when I'm not there. So I think that understanding that you and your company are synonymous with each other, and understanding that you have to cultivate the culture, and if you have a rotten apple, you got to cut them loose quickly. Is very important to me, because that culture will eventually duplicate itself, whether we want to or not. It's going to evolve. If you're not growing, you're dying, right? So essentially, your business is going to be growing. So if they don't carry the same DNA as the entrepreneur, or as or what you really want to be reflective in your company, it will grow for the worse. So I think that culture is something that's really impacted the way that we grow. We choose very carefully the people who are on our management side. We're very careful to choose subcontractors who, are real rough around the edges, you know, that don't like to play nice, you know.
I met those guys.
Yeah. So that is important to me, and I think culture is very important in any industry.
So what it sounds like to me is you purposely created a culture by changing, improving yourself.
Correct.
Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, absolutely.
Explain that a little bit.
Absolutely, because right now I'm reading this phenomenal book called Capital Gains by Chip Gaines, who's the host for Fixer Upper on HGTV.
Yeah.
Really cool book.
Oh, yeah.
And I think he said it best, man. He was saying that his company took off when his employees and his subcontractors knew, they felt how much he cared, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that by improving yourself, and becoming a better person, which would make you a better entrepreneur, which would hopefully make you a better father and better husband and all those things
all
add
around,
on, right? You're going to treat your employees better. You're going to deliver a bigger value. You're going to treat your clients better. You're going to get better deals. So by growing as an individual, I can't duplicate what I'm not, you know? I mean,
Well said, man. Well said,
I'm
right?
not just on an emotional or on a motivational level, but also on a physiological level. I cannot duplicate a hippopotamus. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying? You cannot duplicate what you're not. So
I love that. I love that example.
So I think that whatever you are is what you're going to be able to grow and cultivate. You know, you cannot cultivate a culture that you're not. So, you know, and same thing. So like, same thing. Like we are able to, socialize better with people who are like-minded. You know, I only want positive people on my team. I only want people who see the best in other people.
Yeah, right.
You know, I can teach people skills. Like I could teach someone how to use Excel, or hey, this is the project management software. I cannot teach them attitude though. Attitude's something that comes with them, you know? So when we hire people, we need to make sure that, they have the right attitude, that, that we'll ask them different questions to make sure that they can solve problems and they're resourceful. But I don't hire someone based on skill alone, because skill can be taught, and attitude and personality cannot, So that's why I talk about the importance of culture and kind of picking your team wisely.
Yeah, so it sounds like to me, and I'm going to put words in your mouth and correct me if this isn't on point, but it sounds like you feel that your business is a reflection of you. Like if I'm this way, my business should look this way, and your check and balance is
not a reflection. The same thing. They are one and the same.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Even deeper than that, I think.
Okay. Yeah.
But yes, you're right.
That's interesting. So if people aren't getting out of their business what they want, they got to check to see if it's them that's causing the challenge or not.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. You're the roots. You're the roots of the company. You are the only one who can directly impact the culture. At first, it might feel like, it's against the grain, but I think that ultimately, if you want to see, you have to, is it Gandhi who said you have to be the change that you want to see in the world?
Yes. I don't know if it was Gandhi, but
yeah,
I'm
pretty sure that it was Gandhi,
yeah.
but I could be, I don't want to put words in Gandhi's mouth.
Yeah, right.
But
there you go.
I think it's a phenomenal quote,
Yeah.
Even in marriage, in my marriage counselor at the church that we go to, when we were first getting married, we went through this course. It says it's my responsibility to change the behavior, not change the behavior, but to be the kind of relational person in my behavior that I would like to see in my wife, right? I can't start at my wife like, what's wrong with you? I have to make sure that I get her out of the rut if she's having a tough day, and how do I love her better, right? And I think that goes back to us as leaders. We have to be servants, We have to serve our people. Our people need to know that we're for them. We can never be too big, to not do the little stuff, And I try to do that. I always try to figure out a way, whenever I see an opportunity, to really prove to an employee or prove to one of my managers that I am for them and I'm in the trenches with them. I will absolutely knock it out the park. I'll do whatever I have to do.
That's phenomenal, man. I mean, taking ownership of all this stuff is it sounds like you do a great job of that. Anything else that about your journey that we didn't cover that?
Oh man, I got a few things. I don't know how much time we have. I think the biggest thing is understanding that challenges and oppositions will absolutely come. Right, that's a big thing. We have had many. I call it setbacks.
Okay.
Setbacks. We've had a contractor steal $87,000 worth of for a job that he was supposed to do that he did not complete, or he completed very poorly, and then I had to redo it.
Yeah.
That hurt. That hurt, and there's different challenges that we'll face dealing with a company, even in our short time in being in business, I think we've dealt with some pretty severe challenges. But I think that when I already knew from previous businesses that challenges would come. And in the Marine Corps, I was just speaking at a school a couple weeks ago, and I made a comment that was so true. And I said, in Iraq, I served in the United States Marine Corps. I was part of what they call explosive ordnance disposal, meaning that we would be the firemen to IEDs, roadside bombs, right?
So when they went off,
we would be the ones,
showed up?
Yeah, we would be the ones to be there to making sure there wasn't secondaries, or there wasn't some kind of ambush.
Oh, yeah,
right?
okay.
And a lot of times, so anytime that we were doing our job, it was like 100% like, we might die. You know what I'm saying? It was like fear, and you're getting right with the creator and
right. Tell me about
all of that stuff. And it was a lot of pressure, and I think that it affected me for some time after I came back. But I made a comment and I said, when I went to Iraq, I never thought that I would ever be under pressure so much of the fear or feeling like I'm going to die, That's a real pressure. And then I said, until I became an entrepreneur, because
really?
Because dealing with entrepreneurship and dealing with budgets and, oh my God, how are we going to get $250,000 in the next 30 days or whatever challenges that you might have. Right. Sometimes those are scary. Those are scary feelings, and there's sleepless nights, and you're dealing with different, outside forces that are not within your control. If I had a developer who didn't want to pay me, or he's behind on something and he decided to pay that instead of paying me, it's not that I did something wrong. You're dealing with a challenge that was unforeseen, that wasn't part of my responsibility, that's still affecting the ecosystem of my business, right?
Right.
So I just wanted to say, that challenges will come. I think that we should take everything day by day, but obviously always have PMA, positive mental attitude, and
I like that. PMA.
And figure out a way to be resourceful and figure out your problems. I like something that Grant Cardone says, and you'll have to excuse me because I speak very, very fast, right?
That's okay.
It's a Latino in me. And what Grant Cardone says is, he says that you have to have so much going on that not one single thing will disappoint you.
Exactly.
And I love that.
Yeah, I
because
love that too.
I got my hands in so many things. We push the envelope here, but we don't outdrive our headlights at the same time.
Right.
But we have so many things going on that even if my biggest contract were somehow to default on paying me today, my company's still going to be open tomorrow, and we're going to still push forward. Now, I don't want that to happen, obviously.
Right.
But I think that it's important to figure out a way to diversify yourself. For example, we're diversified within storm restoration, which is contingent on bad weather and insurance, flood claims, storm claims, things like that nature. I'm also doing general construction, which is really dealing with homeowners, and we're also dealing with investors that are obviously contingent on the economy, right, as it keeps going up. But we always try to figure out a way to diversify ourselves and do so much or have so much things going on so that not one single thing can disappoint us. So I think it's important to, if you're concerned about something going south or you're concerned about challenges that you kind of see on the horizon here, then you need to figure out a way to diversify yourself and or have so many things going on so that one thing won't disappoint you.
Yeah, that seems like a great combination of not putting all your eggs in one basket, that if that one thing fails, you're done.
Absolutely.
As well as at the same time pushing the envelope so you constantly stretch yourself to constantly be able to do more beyond maybe what you thought you could actually do. Correct. Right. I've never heard that way, and that was a phenomenal gelling of both of those things. So
a good hybrid, right?
Yep.
Another one is I think entrepreneurship is or success is a responsibility, not a privilege. And what I mean by that is that a lot of times, I know a lot of entrepreneurs, I know a lot of them. And a lot of times I'll be like, well, I deserve a day off, or you know what, I'm going into late to work today or leaving early. And I'm not saying that it's not okay to have some of those days, but what I'm saying is that just because you're an entrepreneur or you're successful, it doesn't give you the entitlement, It's like the old adage goes entrepreneurs are the only ones who work 80 hours a week so they don't have to work 40 hours a week for someone else, right?
Exactly, right? Yep.
And that's how I feel. I take that personally, and not just on I need to be at work all the time, but I need to be doing something that's adding value to my company every day. Maybe I don't work 12 hours in one day. Maybe I work 2, but whatever I did in that day is going to be reflective. Somehow it's going to turn into capital or a relationship that's going to blossom to something better, but also community. Walton does a lot of community stuff, for lower income areas. We support a lot of soccer teams, a lot of football teams, American football teams, and I'm actually on the board of the Cicero Boys Club, the vice president of the board, because things like that matter to me. How do we impact the youth? And I think that kind of goes back to, by the time you hear this, I'll be on the board of the Spanish Coalition for Housing, right?
Hacia?
No. That's for construction. This is for the inner city Chicago, for like programs for preventing foreclosure among Latinos, giving them programs to actually buy for home ownership, exactly, or just if they're buying a multifamily, landlording classes, and kind of knowing your rights as a landlord as well as the rights of a tenant, right?
Yeah, right.
But I think that the biggest thing is that how are we paying it forward, and I think that's what really brings the fulfillment. I think we've been really good about trying to figure out how we become a quote-unquote hometown hero. How do we impact the community? And everyone's community is different. Where we all come from is different. But for me, where I come from, it's very important to impact the families that are behind me, that I'm doing some good and I'm not just generating capital or donating to I think all those things are great, right? But I think that if there isn't that spiritual essence of I am doing something for the community that I service or that I employ, or things of that nature, then I think that we're kind of missing the mark as entrepreneurs, and we're not really we're not taking on the responsibility of what is entrepreneurship, and we're just looking at the privilege of it.
Yeah, right. You're just an entrepreneur because, hey, I'm an entrepreneur and now I'm important, right? Now Correct. You're on your ivory tower and everybody works for you, and I'm just gonna make a lot of money and you guys are my minions, right? It sounds like you approach that in a completely different way.
We want to be the opposite of that.
Exactly.
I want to leave this world in a better condition than how we found, or how it was given to me when I got here, right? And I think that the only way that we can really truly develop legacy is impacting lives that will be here after we're gone.
That's phenomenal.
Which is really more of a life goal than anything, right? I guess the other thing is, I think that when we started Walton, we didn't start it to make money, even though money's important, right? Yeah, I think the biggest thing that we wanted to do is I looked at myself and I said, who do I want to become?
Okay.
Not who do I want to be. And to answer that question just like briefly, is I want to be a real estate developer. I want to build skyscrapers downtown Chicago. That's my goal, my dream. And so when I looked at who I wanted to become, I started looking at like what is the Tony Reyes at 85 or 90 years old?
Right.
What does he look like? What does he do? What are the kind of relationships that he has? And I kind of reverse engineered from there, like, okay, well, if I want to get to there, I need to figure out a way to have a sustainable company, build these kinds of relationships, work in these types of places, and that the reason why I think that it's more important who you want to become is because I think that who you want to become is generational, meaning that it's going to impact your children and your children's children, and what you do or what you want to do or what you would like to do is more of in our lifetime, and it will die with me or die with you.
Yep.
And I think that God is a generational God, like at least the God that I believe in, and He wants to impact my kids' kids and my kids, right? And if I want to build something that's going to last, that's going to impact their lives, then I need to look at really what's my destiny, really. Who is it that I've been destined to be, if you will,
exactly.
And understanding that we have unlimited of untapped potential in our lives, and I don't mean that I don't want to say that to sound cliche. I really believe that you can only do as much as you think you can do.
Exactly. I believe that 100% as well.
And you're not going to tap into that if you're not looking, if you're not purposely seeking it out, and developing like self-help books and going to events that are kind of opening your mind and growing who you are as an individual so that you can tap into this untapped potential that we have. Right?
That's interesting, man. I appreciate you sharing that. So as we wrap this up, if you can give to all our viewers and our listeners what's one thing that you can say was one of the most important things in your business, or the smartest thing that somebody could do right now in their business? Because you shared a lot of stuff, but people may be overwhelmed in a really good way. What's that one thing that they can take action on right now?
Right on. Okay, that's perfect, man. Social media. Social media is a great equalizer, I think, in this day and age.
And how has that helped or made an impact in your business?
Man, it's made all the difference. I think that if you go to Facebook and you look up Walton Contractors and you take a look at how we have kind of developing a marketing strategy there, we have Facebook Live videos, we have production videos, we have photos, we have events, and we have, social media is such a, everyone, my grandma has a Facebook page, okay?
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't even know where, like, everyone has.
That's where it's become, right? That's what it's come to, right?
My grandma be sharing she'll be sharing some articles with me. I'm like, oh my God. It's 1 o'clock in the morning,
Yeah, right, exactly.
Go to sleep, grandma. But it's funny because we've done like billboards off of 1994, that's like Walton Contractors, or we've done a tremendous amount direct mail, or even just traditional ways of marketing. We actually had a commercial, 30-second commercial on Telemundo, which is which is a huge network for Spanish people. But none of them have delivered the results, or I have not been able to gather the analytics like I have on social media. I think all those are kind of like comparing a shotgun to a sharpshooter, right? Whenever you're shotgunning, whenever I put a billboard up, I'm hoping that I capture someone who's not on their phone, right? Texting,
yeah, right? Good point, yeah.
Who's not texting and takes
on Facebook.
Or on Facebook, exactly. And jots on my number. Or same way, I'm hoping that whenever I send direct mail, that they're not just jumbling it out with all the rest of the trash and just throwing it away. With social media, there's specific analytics, specifically Facebook. I can tailor the filters to sex, to age, to interest, to geographic location. I can gauge how many people looked at every photo, every video, what times were they looking at it, what's the best time for my industry to post. It's a very specific way to do social media. And I think it kind of goes back to Sun Tzu's book, The Art of War.
Yep.
Sun Tzu said something, he said that one of his rules was that you have to make your enemy think that you have something that you don't have. So if you're a big company, you have to appear small. And if you're a small company, you have to appear very big.
Right.
And I think that social media has allowed my company, which I guess it would be a smaller developer company, seem enormous. Like we're just beating up people with content, with good content, right?
Yeah.
But either way, we're just saying in their face. We're trying to deliver value every single day. And it's unbelievable to me how many businesses have not really gotten this way, because they think like, well, social media is not the way that we do business. I'm like, well, you know what? In the next 5 years, it will be the only way that you really do business.
Exactly,
right. So I think that if you get, jump on the gravy train with biscuit wheels now, you're going to have a much further track record than your competition.
Right.
So for me, it's a competitive advantage, because I don't know any general contractor who's posting the videos or doing the vlogs that we're doing, or just the pictures. So it creates an ability for me to kind of boost and post and market. Boost or post is what you would say on the Facebook side, but to market basically to people who share the same interests that my company have. Investors, people who are flipping homes, people who like real estate, people who have sustained some kind of storm-related damage with insurances. Mm-hmm. So now the algorithm of Facebook will appear my content on their newsfeed based on their sex, age, interest, and geographic location. I don't know one negative thing about social media. I think people say like, well, what's the ROI? What's the ROI on the billboard?
Exactly.
What's the ROI on direct mail?
How do you measure that, right?
But yet you can measure the analytics on social media,
Right.
So I would really encourage people to really, really get on social media before it becomes more saturated with people who do what you're specifically doing in your industry. Get ahead of the curve now. Start creating content, and I think you'll see. Like for us, it took us 8 months to really get like big momentum, and now the majority of the way that people reach out to me is through Facebook now. Just like, hey, I saw this article that you shared, or hey, I saw you with this guy, or I saw that video. Yeah, I would say 80% of everything it's a huge amount of people who reach out to us are reaching out through Facebook, and it just kind of I don't think that it necessarily helped us get a deal, because we were already doing things for marketing either way, but it helped us validate who we are in the marketplace. So there, people are snooping around like, oh, what do they do? Yeah. Where are they at?
Well, I think those two things are go hand in hand, right? You're probably getting deals because you're validated in the marketplace. Mm-hmm. You may not have seen that ultimate conversion, but I really think that's grounding to your ability of what you do in the marketplace. So I would ultimately challenge that because it may be coming to you and you don't know it, right?
Correct.
Well, Tony, I appreciate your time coming in, man. I learned some stuff. I'm sure everybody watching learned some, and listening learned some stuff. I don't think maybe from what people had heard in the beginning, they thought they were going to hear what they were going to hear, but what you shared was valuable, right? It wasn't that you're doing this trick or that trick in the marketplace to get business. It sounds like this is all about the entrepreneur and how you approach business, how you learn from your experiences, and how you care a lot about your business, is how you can get it growing on the Inc. 5000 and even past that. So I appreciate it. Everybody, you're going to have Tony's contact information on the podcast, as the audio as well as the video on YouTube. So reach out to him if you need any help with anything. And thanks for joining us on Seize Your Business.
Thanks for having me, Bryan.
Cool. Awesome, man. Gracias.